Hi. So I covered my first step of my 5 steps to expanding your business and the what's your why. And today I'm going to cover my next step, which is hire a coach. So let me go back to the why part for a second. I want to cover something. When you don't know your why, you're not clear on your message and you can't move forward in your business. So if you can't move forward in your business, then you're stuck. So when your message isn't clear, you're confused and you're not moving in that forward direction. So therefore, in the long run, people aren't connecting with you because if you're not clear, you can't be clear with them on what you do. So they're not going to connect with you. So let me repeat that. When your message isn't clear, your audience is confused, and confused people don't connect with you, and therefore they're not going to buy, or they're not going to download your freebie or your list or get on your list because they don't know what you're trying to sell. So I just wanted to put that in there about your why, and it's all about the what's in it for me factor. So that's just a little something extra I wanted to add about the why and what's your why in the first step. Now next I'm going to talk about hiring a coach, and that's really important when you want to move your business forward. And someone once said, getting a coach is not a sign of weakness or failure. It's a sign of success. Now, when I was rebuilding and rebranding my business a few years ago, I was floating all around the place and I just couldn't figure out my why. I couldn't figure out, like I said, I was confused and wasn't really going anywhere. My mindset wasn't there. And so Peter joined me, and I decided a friend had invited me to a speak event, and I worked with a coach on professional speaking. Well, then I met another lady who I'd been following for about 4 or 5 years, and I connected with her, and so I hired her as our business coach. And what I know for sure is that everything is always changing, and the construction signs I talked about last week are always they're there. And in order to get to your next level of success, things keep changing, and those construction signs are all around. But you want to eventually try and get rid of as many of those as you can. But things are changing, and a coach is going to help you maneuver around those construction signs to make your business go further. So I had figured out my why. It took me a while, like I said, to figure out my why, and I knew things had to change. So I hired a coach, and at the time, like I said, I was working with 2 coaches, and I could not really afford either one of them. So we had to work really hard to be able to come up with the money to hire one of them. But we also knew that we could not afford not to have those coaches last year, and we're continuing with the one coach for a couple more years. But you can't really afford not to have a coach if you're in business, because they're going to help you move forward. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that right now. So I'm going to go back. I've had coaches, like I said, once you've had a coach, which I had coaches earlier on in my business from 21 years ago, you think, I don't need a coach. I've had that before. Why do I need a coach? But you do need a coach because things change and you have to relearn things. So think about that. Don't think you're too good to have a coach, or you've been there, you've done that before. So think about it, and don't think you're too good. You hire that coach that you've been thinking of, but you also want to make sure you have a good relationship with a coach. If you need to interview somebody, talk with them. Don't just jump right into it. I didn't just jump right into it with our coach. We talked a few times on the phone before we connected, and we started working with her, and it's been a great fit. And so think about that. You don't have to hire somebody just the first time they call you, or you talk on the phone, or do a Zoom call. So think about that. And also, I wanted, people, you want to continue learning in your business, because if you don't, you're going to grow stagnant and you're not going to keep moving forward. So that's one thing that a coach will help you do. So when you hire a coach you connect with, they'll help make you accountable and make sure that you can move forward. But they are not going to do the work for you, and they shouldn't do the work for you. If they do, then maybe they're not the right coach for you, but they will help you with motivation, with planning, with accountability. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those right now. So with motivation, like I said, a coach isn't going to do the work for you, but they'll help motivate you. They'll give you materials to help you move forward. One of the best things a coach can do for you to move forward is to help you get out of your head. And I'll talk about mindset in a minute, but you've heard of imposter syndrome. And as business owners, a lot of us tend to plan things out, but then we let them go and let ourselves really stand in the way of moving forward because we come up with excuse after excuse while we don't finish that task. And as a business person, which means, working like a business and not a hobby, that's what we need to do. If you're a true business person, you want to work your business as a business, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever you choose to do. You want to work that as a business, not as a hobby. If you're a true, entrepreneur, there's a difference between an entrepreneur or, running it like a hobby. If you really want to make the business, you're an entrepreneur. And anyway, what I wanted to say is, when you change and work on your mindset, it's a lot easier to think about the positive rather than the negative once you get those negative thoughts out of your head. So try writing down those positive aspects every day instead of the negative, and you'll start thinking more about the positive rather than the negative. It'll become a lot easier if you do that. Excuse me. Recently, this is another thing my coach helped me with. I am a perfectionist, and I have to work on that all the time. That I know and I realize nothing's perfect and nobody's perfect, but I always want everything I send out to be perfect for my clients. And because that's our business and my name and my business partner's name on it. And I want things to be perfect, or I think I need to have everything perfect before it goes out. But I put this in our coaching forum, and my coach said, and I'm going to quote her here, she said, "Perfection does not exist. It's simply another word for procrastination." And that has really stuck with me. And it's so true because nothing is perfect. And I realized that, and I was procrastinating by not getting things out. So it was kind of interesting that she put that out there right at the time. I really needed it because we're working on programs for people. We're working on a book, different things, but I was really like in analysis paralysis. That's what a word I use for just stopping and not doing things. So realize that nothing's perfect and just move on. And your coach will help you with those types of things. Another thing is planning, another step. Planning, quarterly planning, yearly planning, they're both essential for your business. Yeah, you want a year-long plan for your entire business for the entire year. But quarterly planning, those 90 days are really important because you can map out those tasks in a way so that you know what you want to accomplish in those, not 90, 30, yeah, 90 days, sorry. Quarterly, yeah. Sorry, my mind's not thinking. But in the quarters, you want to map that out so what you want to accomplish at the end of the quarter, and then you can break that down into 4 weeks and then 8 weeks and then the 12 weeks, and then that can be more manageable and feel less overwhelming than the entire year of what you want to accomplish. But even in the planning, and I love this about our coach suggested this, and it's so easy to do and think about, where you decide what you want to make for the year, and then you divide that out by however many weeks you plan on working the year. Take the weeks out for your vacation, if you're going to take a vacation, and if you're not going to work on the weekends, take those days out, and divide that out by however many days you're going to work for the year. And then that comes into the weeks that you're going to work for the year. And then, by days, you can divide that out by days of how much money you need to make every day to come up with what you're going to make for the entire year. So if you know that you need to make $353 a day in order to come up with what you want to make for the entire year, then you'll know that if you only made $277 that day, you need to get up and make that extra, why did I come up with that kind of number? That's hard. But you can do the math, and you know that you need to make that money up before you stop for the day, or you'll need to make it up the next day to come up with your goal so that you can make your goal for the year. So that's just an example of planning and how you can make it into smaller chunks so you're not so overwhelmed for the entire year. So that's planning, a part of planning. Another thing is, that's another way is you go into goals, establish goals. So they'll help you establish goals for what you want to do, and they'll make them more realistic. And one example I have for you is we were going to set a goal that we wanted to have 6 VIP days in 2 months. And we have a call with our coach, and she came back and said, I challenge you and Peter to have, she says, I challenge you and Peter to have 3 VIP days in 2 months or 3 months. That way, she made it more doable for us so that we would be more successful, and that she knew we'd have to reach 66 to 70 people in order to have those 3 VIP days. So she understood what it would take for us to get those 3 VIP days, and we were thinking too high. I mean, it would be great if we got the 6 VIP days, but a good coach will help you break that down and make it so that you're more successful, and that you get those 3 VIP days, great. But if you get more, that's even better. But at least if you've gotten those 3, then you'll feel more successful. So establishing goals is a great part. And then going on to mindset. What we do, and another thing is great, is we do success cards. Every day we write down 3 successes that we've accomplished for that day. So if that is writing a blog, like I'm doing these lives in August, I write down that I've done my live for August. I'll write that down. And even if it's as simple as I'm doing I do health every day. So if I work out, or if I do my smoothie for the day. But if you write down those success cards and keep them, I do a notebook and a journal. So I write them down every day. When you're having a bad day, you can go back and look at those success cards, and you can say, wow, I'm having a pretty bad day today, but look what I've accomplished in the last 6 months, or the last year, or even the last week. And I'm not doing so bad. So look at those, and they will really help you in your mindset. And you'll feel like, wow, I really have accomplished something. So that's a way to help your mindset go forward. And if you want to read, that's another thing. If you have read a business book and you're trying to get through it, sometimes they're not the most exciting things to read, but you want to read 10 pages a day, get through those 10 pages a day and put that down on your success card. So there's just different things you can do to help your mindset, but those success cards are really a great way to put down your goals. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about here is finding an accountability partner. You want to do a certain thing, or you have for your week what you want to do. Say, if you want to update your about page on your website, or if you want to write your blog. And say, if you have an accountability partner, it's a lot easier to make sure that those goals happen. So finding an accountability partner, it helps you be accountable, and it helps them be accountable to get things done and move yourself forward. And also it helps you start building those relationships with people either in your coaching group or in your mastermind group or whichever groups you're in. And so that also, when I talk about building relationships, that's the next step of my five steps to expanding your business. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. So I know I went on a little bit today. It was a little crazy, but you have a great evening. And if you hire a coach, or if you have any questions about a coach or how you could connect with one, I'd love to hear about it. And what does your coach do for you? Put it in the comments here below, and we can chat about it. And have a great day. Bye.